Hello, welcome back to our channel. And today, as always, we have a very exciting interview. You'll see this guy, he does everything.
And most important, sail fast.
All right. So first, as usual, I want to thank the team, Robert, Julienne, and Marley. We put these videos and these channels together for the benefit of anyone who likes sailing and you know the joy of being on a boat with the wind in your face and hopefully some sunshine as well. So without further delay, today I have the opportunity to speak to a lifelong sailor. He's sailed snipes, fins, lasers, and big boats. He's a champion in multiple events in Europe, and he's also a sail maker and a boat maker. Like I said, this guy does everything. Today, we have indeed a very interesting interviewee. Without more further delay, here is Paolo. Hi, Paolo.
Good evening.
How are you?
Fine, thanks. Just went sailing to I went sailing today a few hours ago with the new boat we launched 2 days ago. Of course, with new boat and new sails that will be delivered.
I think I saw it on Facebook.
Yes, it will be delivered in Australia in 2 weeks, and so it was a nice day. 10 knots of wind, sun, which here is it's February, so it's not very common to have these nice days, but
Right.
It was okay.
I'm glad. I saw you on Facebook, and I was a little bit jealous. It was it was sunny. It was beautiful, blue skies. It was very nice. So let's get started, Paolo. Tell the audience, who is Paolo Semerano? Where did you grow up, and how did you get started in sailing?
Basically, I was a 10 years old boy, fat small boy, in 1972, and I was trying several sports at school, but I was too heavy for any of the classic ball sports. So first of all, I started swimming, and then I was floating quite well. But then my father entered me in a sailing school in the local sailing club, and very soon I discovered that my weight was a positive factor in sailing, at least at the time, because I discovered that the more I was hiking and the more I was going fast, and so
Right.
for the first time in my life, I had an advantage on the others, and so I get in love for this, and from then I started with a simple sailing course, and there was no tradition in my family at all. And then I kept on going, and that's the story started in 1972.
So how did you go from, let's say, sailing for fun, right, as a kid, into becoming a competitive sailor?
It became very, very natural, because when as I told you, I was not physically, let's say, not physically fit when I was 10 years old. But then I saw that I need to start training, to following the bigger guys in the club, and then I saw that it was taking benefit both on the sailing, but both on my body. And so the more I was training, the better I was, and the better. And so when I was already on 14, I was totally transformed. And to be honest, at the time, there was not very common to do physical trainings, even in the single-handed. So I was born in South Italy, in this city, which there was a little bit of tradition, but zero tradition of single-handed. and so I had to train alone. There was nothing else I could do that training, going in the boat. We have long summers, so I was spending time on the water, and then with the friends in the evening we were starting to build our own gym. There was not yet bodybuilding was not yet on the on the horizon at the time, so we were just building our training machine, simulating a main sheet with the stones from the boys and some old blocks and some ropes, or we were doing the bar on the wall on the club, and we built the first hiking machine that we saw on some very ruined a picture from Elvestrom. I think Paul Elvestrom was the first one to invent the hiking bench. No, so we were building in wood, and so that was our childhood. So it was between 10 and 17 years. It was going to the club for fun, for meeting friends, and in the same time training really hard. And then our bodies started growing. When I was about 17, 18, all of a sudden, it was the finishing of the high school, and my mother was giving me as a present. She gave me she paid me the trip to Canada for the Liza Awards. So it was for the times. Imagine, no internet, no telephone,
Right.
nothing. Just paying a ticket, taking a plane, and going then on Lake Ontario, and there were 400 boats, and you had to alternate because there were only 100 boats available. So every time you had to race, you had to wait the fleet coming back, set your
Really?
boat, go in there, going out again, make your tuning, and so I don't know how, I don't know why. I came out. I was totally unknown at the time, and I was first Italian, and there
Really?
were the qualification there. It was batteries, so in the finals only the top 80 boats. So I went to the finals, and I finished 17 overall. But I had some very good racing, and I remember that I was totally let's say was not aware of any special tactics, any special way, but I was just going fast. And I remember the other Italians, I was sometimes bad in the start, and then I was crossing behind the main fleet and then going fast that way. They said, you are doing the opposite of everybody, it's not possible, how can you be in the front? And so at the end, in that World Championship, I could see all the top world sailors, because we had some people like Cameron Lewis, John Bertrand, Terry Nilsson, and so on. At the time, all the best sailors in the world were sailing laser. It was 1980. When I came back to Italy from that experience, I had a totally new view on how to sail a single-handed. Everybody in Italy was still sailing with a flat mainsail, the boom high on deck, and in the States they were sailing boom on deck, loose foot. So I came in Italy, I was applying this technique to the fin, and in the same year I won the Italian. I was not yet 18, and I won the overall Italian championship in the fin, my first one, and nobody could believe, because there was, I mean, just a guy training alone in South Italy. And after that, I won another 8 in a row. And that year was 80. I was too young for the Olympics, because there was the class did not qualify. It was Moscow, but then I managed to go to the following two Olympics, 84 and 88. But basically, I was really insisting. I am not very tall. I am less than 180, but for the time I was really training hard, and this was transforming. And the fact I was training alone was developing in me a super speed in the downwind in the waves, because of course training alone in light wind is boring, you know? And so I was sailing all the times with very strong wind. And
Well, I'm surprised that you had the fortune, right, and the natural technique to do so well when you were not really training in strategy, right? Like you said, I just wanted to go fast. right?
Yes.
You were just going
I think
fast.
we can say everything. Even now in the Americans Cup, a fast boat makes the tactic a good tactics. You know, the tactics a genius. If you are fast, you are a genius on the tactics. If you are slow, you can do anything. So in a single-handed hiking is everything. I mean, if you don't hike, you cannot go fast. But now everybody is super trained. There are techniques, videos. But imagine. 40 years ago, 35 years ago, there was nothing. I had on my wall in the room, I had a picture. I was 12, 13 of John Bertrand, the American, which was, I think, the first winner of a laser world championship. And I still remember this hiking position with the legs straight like this, totally out. But this picture was cut out of a newspaper, printed. There
Right.
was no internet on the
Of course.
wall all the time. So that was my and then was a kind of revenge probably at beginning was physically then what I forgot when I came back from the championship after winning my first Italian fin championship. I lost my mother the same summer, and so that was the point which changed a bit all my mind. I was totally committed there to become this picture is in 88, the second Olympics, and so I wanted to become a professional. I wanted to go in the Navy, but then this is my son and my father.
Wow.
And yeah. In the first time I bought a few years ago, I bought a boat to my son, and I called my father to assist. So it's the generation.
Very
But
nice.
so when I lost my mother, I instead of keeping on becoming a professional, so I say professional sailor,
Right.
I decide to start studying as well, because I had the three brothers. So in a way I was feeling the responsibility of the family. So I started studying engineering, and it was very hard. Both training and studying was not easy, and for sure I miss a little bit on both sides, because my mind was never super clear on racing, and on the other end I took 7 or 8, I don't remember, 8 years probably to graduate instead of 5, but I did, in the meantime I did 2 Olympics and 1 Americans Cup. So I think it was a
You were
kind
busy.
of yeah, it
You were busy. Yeah.
was a good use of the time, let's say. But I've always been, in any case, even on the fin, I've always been fascinated by the technical aspect of the boat. On the laser, it was just hiking. On the fin, we were start thinking to the mast bending, to the boat, to the center board, to the stiffness of the boat, and so probably one of my limits in the fin, I could have won more, but I was always, to be honest, I'm not really the one who can suggest the best technique to be an Olympic sailor today, because today you have a total specialization. You're like an employer, let's say. In fact, at least in Italy, all those who can go to the Olympics are in the army. Nobody else can. A private citizen, just a club member, is impossible. He can go to the Olympics because they have to train 360 days a year. In that way, it's become
There is a government system
a
for
government system, everything, but
the
the kind of
athletes.
racing. But I find this today very, very sad, honestly, because I can't see talents coming out. I only see employer of the sailing, at least in my nation. In other
Right.
nation, then if you have a champ, you have a champ everywhere. But what was different in my times, that we were sailing many classes. So I was really interested in sailing everything you could sail. There was one year in 80, 86, I think, that in 1 month I won the Italian Flying Dutchman Championship as a crew, the Fin Italian Championship as a helmsman, and the Laser Italian Championship as a helmsman in 3 weeks.
Wow.
And in the meantime, I was windsurfing, for example, no, so this was always interested me. I was In the winter, I was working on my fin, modifying the deck. I didn't have money to buy many masts, for example. I
Right.
only had one mast, so to change the deflection of the mast, I was using I took a plate of aluminum. I was making holes, applying when it was wind. I was taking the pin away. So I was trying everything I could to maximize. And at the end, I was fast. I was not very heavy, not very tall, but in the Fingal Cup I won 3 times the strong wind races and
Wow.
over 120 boats. I won 2 races in the pre-Olympic in Los Angeles in Super Olympic circuit and 20 knots because I found a way to make the deck of the boat very soft. No, so because I was heavy and I was using a mast who was bending on the top,
Right.
and the deck also was going on the top. So for a strange reason, I was very fast in strong wind, and so on. But my limit, as I said, was that I was always experimenting. So even if I found a setup which was very fast, the good pupil, the good schoolboy would have kept that setup for the good racing. But once for example, I was winning a race even in Italy, or even I won Yare, I won Kiel, I was nearly winning the Gold Cup. I got disqualified in the last race after leading for 7 races, for 6
Wow.
races. And I was changing this setup because I wanted to go faster. But
Right.
sometimes I was going slower, of
Yeah.
course.
I want to make a quick timeout here because I am still thinking about what you said earlier, how you guys created your own gym, right? And
Yeah,
you know, I think most people would have thought, well, you have some weights, right, to do exercise, but the way you design the exercise was to match the needs of sailing, right?
of
With
course,
the
of
hiking
course.
machine and the pull up, right, to imitate the pulling of the main sheet. So that was
Exactly.
very interesting that you were, and even as you told us now, right, with the fin, you were tweaking with the technology available to make the boat faster. So you were engineering
Yes, but
the
because
time.
the single-ended the main engine is the sailor. So the first thing I thought it was working on me, put up some weight, transforming some fat in muscles, and
Mhm.
simply try to hike as more. And so there was a moment that in Bari, at the beginning I was training a lot, but after my early results, which happened more or less in '84. I qualified for the Olympics and I won the strong wind race. There was the Fingal Cup in Italy, in Anzio. And I won a strong wind race. And all of a sudden, people start knowing me. The summer of the Olympics, after I qualified, for example, I had the Russell Coutts was coming to Bari and was training with me for 3 months. He was living here because he thought that conditions were super and I was very fast.
That's your hometown, right?
That's
Body.
my hometown where I am, say, where I live now. But what was the difference? That on the training I was always faster, but then in the Olympics, in the first race he was second, I was third, and then he won the gold, and I was finishing 13 because I was totally disorganized. I didn't have a trainer, I didn't have a sparring partner. I made a race without the plug, and so on. So at the end, this is the preparation is something, but then the management of the race is another thing. And in the management of the race, I was it was not enough because
But
basically I
you
didn't have
didn't
a
have a
club.
structure. You didn't have any structure.
I didn't have I had a club which was quite healthy, but not structured. And even the Italian Federation was not well organized at the time. So it was all politics. So I basically I found myself totally alone on this big beach. Long Beach was the name. Carrying my boat alone, up and down, no sparring partner, sailing 2 hours upwind to go on the race course. So although I was really fast in the second race, I found myself racing without the plug, with the plug. So that was psychologically not very nice. Then another race, there was a protest which I had to discuss alone until 2 in the night because none of my federation was speaking English, and I was 21 years old in my first Olympics. So if it was today, I would have eaten the jury, But at the time, maybe today I create the companies and the organization as also a reaction to that disorganization, not disorganization of the time, no. But that was life. I mean, everybody is expressing the place and the time in which is born and grown up. I mean, I don't. I know I am okay like this. I'm just analyzing, and then if I have to give a suggestion to a young sailor, work on yourself, but work also on the organization, on the management, and never give your life in the hands of anybody. I mean, never a trainer, never a politician of the federation. Don't have fear to change trainer, to change sparring partner, to change everything, to change both. Don't have fear, because it's your life.
Right.
Once 4 years, you spend 4 years for an Olympics, or maybe 8 years for another Olympics. The first time you have the joy of the new thing. The second time you really feel that you have lost 8 years because you could have done so many other things. So take care, and really don't trust everybody. I mean, it's your life.
Right. I like your message. To have a goal, right? You're saying, if your goal is to go to the Olympics, do whatever you have to do. Change coach, change whatever. Right?
No, but I say another thing. I say another thing which is very important, and believe me, going to the Olympics is not a goal. It must not be a goal. Taking a medal is a goal.
Gotcha.
If you train just to go to the Olympics and to be 20, 13, 10 to the Olympics, don't lose your time.
Right.
There are so many other things you can do in sailing and in life.
Well,
so if you start thinking that to the minimum results, so you will not get it. You have to start training for the Olympics because you want to take the gold, and then maybe you qualify, and then maybe you have a good result. But if you start thinking that, I mean, you only have to qualify, then it's really sad. I mean, better you go and do something else in your life.
Well, tell us about something else you've done with your life.
Then when
tell us about your sail making and your boat making.
Yeah, I mean, all this history was lasting at the end from 8 years, no? As I told you, 8-9 years. So the two Olympics it's 8 years plus 1 year before, it's 9 years. Then I could, in the meantime, in '87, I could go to the Americans Cup in between the two Olympics. And that was an experience who opened my mind again from the organization point of view. So I could compare how professional was the Americans Cup and how non-professional was the Olympics, or the Olympic classes in Italy. Totally a difference. So of course I like the other one. While I was in the American Cup, I learned to sim sails, because in my free times I was going to the sail loft. At the time, every syndicate had a sail loft and was starting to build windsurf sails with the spare parts. No, we had a lot of free time there in Australia. When I came back, it was '87. I decided I would have liked to be a sailmaker. And so after I graduated in '89, and I remember the day after the graduation, I just hired, with the money from a bank, I hired a van. I went to Switzerland. I was buying, still with a loan from a bank, a sewing machine. At the time, there was still the not so easy, the import-export. So I stayed for the weekend. Again, no fax, no nothing. So I was staying I was little late on the border, so I was staying with this van on the border with my sewing machine for 3 days, and then I arrived in Bari. Imagine it's 1,500 kilometers driving from Switzerland to Bari. No, it's not really behind the corner. And when I arrived in Bali, I went to the club, to all my friends, and in my mind, I was sure that everybody would have been interested to see a real sewing machine for sailmaking, but nobody was carrying me. So I stayed with my van open. I thought that everybody would have been curious, but nobody was totally interested. So I opened my first sale of Team Body, and of course there was totally no market in Body because nobody was interested. I mean, there was a very poor market. So I start traveling to Sicily, which is another 600 kilometers south for my selling sales in the weekend.
Right.
Then I traveled to Naples, and then this and there. But one thing I did, and so slowly, thanks to my story in the Olympic classes,
Right.
I could immediately go as an helmsman on some important boats. And of course, when I was going on the boat, I was also trying to put my sail. So,
Right.
of course, my career was helping in a little bit to let this. And at the beginning, I was starting as a franchisor. So I mean, I was an Italian distributor, an Italian representative for an English brand, which was Bruce Bank Sales.
Okay.
And then years later, I was acquiring the brand, and now I mean I own the brand for all Europe, etc. And so slowly was going up, and there was a moment in which we were very successful. It was about the between 2001 and 2012. We had a lot of success. We won. I started sailing on the maxi boats. I was starting. We won RC World Championship, X35 World Championship, X41. So a lot of very good results. But still, I felt that beside these very good results, and to be honest, very fast sales, I was not able to break the market. So there was still coming somebody with saying that, okay, North Sail is the best. Doesn't matter if I was winning 1 year. In 2008, we won the X35 World Championship with 25 points on the second boat.
Wow.
And there was the
You were
World
fast.
Championship it was in Italy, and it was of course only the owner was driving because X35 is an owner driver, but still on the top 10 there were top crews because of tactician, helmsman, etc. I was a main sail trimmer, and there were 60 boats, and the year after my sails won the Europeans for 2 years in a row, and overall I could not sell so many sails. So I felt, and so let's say the 2012 arrived. 2012 there was starting a big crisis in Italy, economical crisis, which was, I mean, 2010 there was the famous bankrupt of Lehman Brothers in the United States. In Italy, we felt this crisis little later, as everything. We start late, but we we feel stronger, like the COVID now. And so in 2012, the market of sailing was starting to shrink. I remember that I took. In the meantime, I was marrying, so I was taking some responsibility on my shoulder, the loan of the house, the usual things when you are at this age. I started having children. I married at 42, and I have 3 children in 3 years. So
Wow.
I was feeling a lot.
Always very busy, Paolo.
Always very busy. And I really remember that there was those years, 2000. I don't remember, 12, I think. I was really. I could not sleep. There was a Christmas. I could not sleep in the night because I was imagining terrible scenarios for the future because really I was. So I decided to take a plane, and I went for a business trip in Greece and in Turkey to find new markets. And I still remember the airports totally empty. So nobody was traveling. It was there is more people today with COVID
Really?
traveling than there was at that time with in the South Europe. But so the result was that at the time we were doing 70% of our turnover in Italy and 30% outside. Today we do the opposite, 80% outside Italy with the sales. But still, when it was 2012, 2013, I had a little bit of money apart, a very small amount, not enough to build even half of a boat. But I thought if I put this money on the bank sales, I will never. Uh, I will never beat North Sales. It's impossible. All North Sale, all the big brands, I should have millions. So I decide, okay, let's start. I start building a boat for myself. I mean, there was little work, so I was using the employers from the sail making to help me building a boat. And in those years, I received a lot of help from the industry, because really there was nothing happening for 2 3 years, no new boats, so I could get winches for very nice price, mast, etc. And so 2014 I launched my first boat. In the meantime, still in my imagination, I created the brand, which is this one, this butterfly. Is this butterfly? This butterfly comes from Matrix. You know, the Neo comes from Matrix. Have you seen the, yeah, you know, Neo, Keanu Reeves? So the name comes from that. And the butterfly, because the boating are in carbon fiber and very light. And so I create the brand, even if I was building a boat for more for as a challenge, more than I was not really at the mind to create a company. And then, of course, at the time I was working a lot with other boatyards. So in the industry, in the market, everybody was against me, because saying, why you will not never be able to build a boat? You will bankrupt with the with the sail making. But then at the end, I could launch the boat without bankrupting. And then they were saying, okay, but who are you? This boat will destroy yourself, because you are a sail maker. Why should you be able to build boats? And in the same year, 2014, with that boat, I won the middle sea race, in a race with 55 knots and 8 meters of wave. So I showed that the boat not only was not destroying, it was one of the few boats with zero damage. And we got third overall and first in our class on both.
Wow.
And so after 2 years, I was managing again. There was interest around this boat, but because I didn't have a real company, it was difficult to sell. And 2014, the same year of the first boat, with my older son, which at the time was 9 years old. It was 2003 or something like that, 10 years. I went to a boat show in China, but the boat show in China means that there was I just took a flight and a small stand, and I went there with the model of the boat. But then when I arrived there, it was not a real boat show. There was not even a boat. It was a kind of a luxury show with motorbikes, with cars, with a big mess.
Everything luxury, but not.
Yeah, but there was not one selling boat. So I was in China alone with my son for 1 week. And so, because there was one customer on internet that was interested, was from Hong Kong, I decided, okay, I take 2 days and let's visit him. And so with my son, we visit him in Hong Kong. And after 1 year, that one became my first customer ever. So he was taking the chance, no? And I think for him was very useful to see me in person, to know me, no? And so in 2017, I sold the first boat, and then slowly, and the first 2 boats were sold and made under the sail making business. When then I managed to sell the third and the fourth, I created a new company 2 years ago. It's very fresh, which is Neo Yacht and Composites, and today we are at 10 boats. Wow. And the last one we launched the day before yesterday, and and so the story goes on. And the good thing is that the idea, of course, of innovation, no, which have always brought me. In the meantime, what I missed is that on the sail making, in 2008, when there was this big crisis in Italy, we decided to start building our own membranes. So we are not simple sail makers. We built our own material. So we built the membranes for the sails, and we sell also to other sail makers. So we really like to start from the raw materials and to have the final product. And of course, this experience helped me a lot with boats, because at the end, the process is very similar. and all the experience I had on the fin. After the fin, while I was already sailmaker, I was sailing star as well. Of course, I was working. I had a family, so the maximum I could do on the star was Italian champion in '95 and third in Europeans in I don't remember, in 90 something. Still with my sail, but I was building my sails finally on the
I see.
star,
Right. Your own sales. Right.
my own sales. So I was doing, I don't know, I start selling also some, but I was making so many mainsail on the mast and picturing and doing that. All this work I did on the fin first, even on the fin. On the fin, I was not yet a sailmaker, but I built the first Kevlar sail ever. It was '86, and I was going. I had a friend in South, even southern than me, Montefusco, which is a very good sailor. He went to the Olympics as well as a 470 sailor. And I was building the first Kevlar sail in the fin, and it was a winning year with this sail. After I think 10 years, the Kevlar sail become very popular with the carbon mast, but I
Right.
was already using on the aluminum mast. And so experimenting, I really had the
Right.
pleasure of doing things and making new things. And if you see the boats now, they are totally different
They're
from the
beautiful. They're beautiful.
they're totally different from the others. And when I did my first boat, it was too early for those boats, this type of boats, because nobody was appreciating. Today, they start
Right.
appreciating these lines. Why? Because they started with IMOCA like this, the American cast boat, your high. He
Right.
started to understand these
Right.
things.
Sometimes it
But
takes time for the market to appreciate what an engineer and somebody who is at the edge of development, right, and to appreciate what they do.
yeah, but it's difficult because the market is in a way is very conservative, and people, all the sailing, this is my opinion, of course, and maybe now we are going a little bit out from, but at the end is always the same, because if you like the risk, the only way to win is in anything, winning races, winning in, let's say, in life, not winning, let's say succeed, not win, really winning, because I don't have to beat anybody. I mean, when you win means that you want to beat the other. In the life, you don't have to
Right.
beat the other. I mean, in my business, I don't want to kill anybody. I want my space to
Right.
make nice things. In the race, you have to beat somebody better. But in any case, you have to think differently. If you think differently, you have the courage not to do the same of the others. I have seen so many trainings. What I hate in the Optimist and in the laser nowadays is that people, they train all together, then the trainer makes a signal, and they have to tackle together. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, if you teach a child that he has to tack when the other one is tacking, how can he take
Right. How
different
would he
ways?
know? How would he know? Right. To do it by himself.
Of course. So I really hate when I was looking my kids on the Optimist. I was fine. It was really my stomach was. In fact, I made them leave the Optimist as soon as possible. I mean, as soon as they were 1 kilo heavier, I said no. And again against my club, because the tendency here is to keep people to the, I mean, the best is the one who wins the world
Right.
championship. We have a guy in Italy who is winning 3 times the world championship. Yes, but now he's 16 years old, and what can he do? I mean, it's
He's
all
still
he
an
can do
optimist.
ultimate.
Right.
To me, at 12 years old, you should be, I mean, at 13, I was already going on the 470, for example. And that I would like to make my kids to make more experience. Maybe you lose some result when you are young, but you gain a lot of experience for it, when it'll be the right time.
Paolo,
My
sorry, and talking about kids and experience, and this is one of our key questions, right, in the channel. If you meet a 12, 13, 14-year-old kid down at the yard and he tells you that he likes sailing, what do you say to this kid?
No, sorry, repeat. If I ever
If you meet a boy or girl, right,
13 years old, yes.
right, 13, 14 years old, she says, hey, I like sailing, I'm curious, what would you say to this kid?
I would say go to a club and start sailing. I mean, any club. You just need there are so many boats you can start sailing today, even from the beach, that maybe you don't really even need a club. And probably very, very, very early, I would say him or her to experience foiling, for example, today. Today, I would absolutely start quite soon after the first bed basis. I would start foiling. I would let them start foiling
All
immediately.
right.
With there are many ways of doing it, but the clubs, are, at least in Italy, are very much in delay on this. The other water sports are much more fast to develop. For example,
Right.
I own a moat, and as a hobby I go kite foiling, but I learned 1 year ago. So I mean, at 60, at 50, 58, I started, and
I
this
think I
total
have a picture here somewhere.
it's totally, yeah, this is not a falling, this is just normal kite. Yeah, this is a falling on the right, last summer. Yeah, this is last summer, and but it's really another word. So that was my suggestion. Laser is always good for the kids to learn the strategy that starts in the many in many boats. But now the new way, I mean, sailing has gone already toward total different physical
Right.
principles. I mean, in the laser you have to go on the single handed. You can go. You have to go with reverse with the sail. I mean, overheeled over. Uh, in Italian we say strapoggiato. I mean, over buried away. I mean, when you pass you are downwind. When you pass downwind to leeward, no? How do you say
Right.
in English? Over downwind. And I mean, on all the new sailing is that you go two jibes. So
Right.
you go fast and then you jibe. And so probably a guy who comes from the laser would only, or from a single handed, would take a little bit difficulties to understand the new principle. I mean, by head he will understand, but this feeling it will be different. In fact, even look Robert Scheidt, he was trying the 49er, now he's back on the
Yeah.
laser. I mean, he's so much focalized on that thing that he has done for all the life that he now he can only do that thing. Okay, I would avoid that. I'll do if he's a super great champion, he won many medals. Uh, I would give one leg to have 1/10 of his results, but it is not the prototype of the modern sailor to me. Is the prototype of the employer sailor. So you do one thing every day. I think he still is training 300 days a year on the
Right.
laser, on the leg guard, for his, only that.
It sounds
Uh,
like a very mechanized,
very mechanized. So I
training,
would
right? Like
suggest
factory.
do everything. Sailing is much more fun than simply winning, qualifying for the Olympics. Let's say that's Olympics in the life of a sailor. This is my opinion. I know that I will be against every other person. Olympics to me is to take maximum 8 years of the life of a sailor, and has to be between 18 and 26, 20 and 28. So 2 attempts when you are young. So if you are not able to go to the Olympics, if you are not at level that you may think to go to the Olympics when you are 18, 19,
Right.
forget it. If you at least you are not national champions when you are 19, 20, 18, then forget. You will never be able to go to the limit in any country, because you will only lose your time and go there maybe.
But you have so much more to go, right? In performance you
No,
took
you
so
will
high.
simply not qualify the nation. I mean, if
Right.
you're you have to understand quite soon if it's the right class for you. Not insisting.
Right.
I see people 30, 35 years old, 40 years old, still selecting, trying to go to the Olympics. Olympic is for the young people. In any other sport, the athletes, they, 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 they are young. In sailing, the Olympic is for the young. Then there are many other. There is the Volvo Ocean Race. You can go solo in the ocean. You can
Right.
do Americans Cup. There are tons, too
Right.
many classes, but not the Olympics. I would like to see a system that brings 20 years old, 18 years old, 22 years old people to the Olympics, not 30 years old, 35 years old. Because of course, if you are in the Navy or you are in the Army, you are paid for that. So of course you train, but this make the level. If you make analyze this in the poor country, in the I call it in Latin, in the, let's call it, I don't know, where are you from?
I'm Cuban.
Okay, in Italy, the only one who go to the Olympics are in the army, because or the navy or the army or other corps, because the system of qualification is done in a way that either you do professional full time, either you cannot do. But I don't think the talented people normally, like in the States, they make everything else. The actual helmsman of Team New Zealand is doing the America's Cup now, and in July will make the Olympics. The Italian NACRA selected guy, which is also very, very good. He could be probably winning.
Yeah.
They forbidden him to go to the America's Cup because he has to stay here and focus. And it's also a period where you cannot race, so he's just doing up and down between two boys alone with his sparring partner, while the others are doing the America's Cup. So you took him away from a super experience that could have built his mind stronger. Imagine going through the Prada Cup against Ben Isley, being even being part of the crew, not helmsman. He could be there, but then the federation said either you do this, either you do this. Why?
I think what you're saying is that, you know, in other countries, right, you could become a better sailor and maybe not go to the Olympics. Right, but you become a better sailor altogether, right? And more equipped, right? You have more experience, more knowledge in general, versus this system that you're describing that is very, very focused on training, exercise, Olympics. Right?
Yeah, it's I would say it's not focused; it's dictatorial. So you must leave the athletes the possibility to manage his life, and some people are reacting a way, some people react in another way. But if you see at the end that I call it undeveloped country, with excuse me for this term, but generally Americans, for example, they win medals. They have a trials. It's set up in that month, in that place, will be those races. Who goes there wins and goes to the Olympics. That's it. Of course, if the class is qualified, that's another. Right. But for example, in the United States, the class can be qualified by a sailor, but the trials can be won by another sailor. In Italy, or I think also in your country, in other countries, it's all depends from the federation. The federation has to choose the athlete. It's not the athlete who is not winning a trial.
It's the federation
is chosen. So how can be a sport if you are chosen?
Right.
The rules have to be clear.
You have to win, right?
You have to win. You have to win. That's it. So in this way. So the system that brings the Olympic sailor to do only that, specialize in a class for 4, 8, 12 years, only that thing creates an employer of the sailor, and he will never go to a medal, because to go to a medal you must be open mind, and the federation has only to help you using your talent, not raping you, don't say if you go there you don't go there, and so on. This is what I see today, but I don't see this in the nation that at the end they win medals, because I mean the Spanish 49er, a few Olympics ago, he did the Volvo ocean race, and then they went on the 49er. They trained 2 months because they were already champions, of course,
right?
And they won the gold again. The helmsman of New Zealand, he will go after the America's Cup. He will go to the Olympics. I mean, why not? I mean, why you have to make and so my suggestion to the young people: always use your brain, keep your freedom, ask yourself questions. Sailing is not just tacking when your trainer is making you a signal.
Right.
Even if you're on a laser, ask yourself why you are doing that type of tuning in the boat, why you are trimming the canigam, why you are trimming the outhole, why you need a stiffer mass, why you need a softer mass, why you have to move forward, why we have to move. So it's physics. Sailing is physics. It's totally physics, nothing else, more than any other sport. So ask your questions and try to sail as on every different boat you sail, it gives you something more, even on the one you are sailing. You learn something on the laser, sailing, I don't know, another boat, sailing a windsurf, for example.
Sure.
No, it makes strange, but the principle is that. And so don't go like horses like this. That's horrible, and that's horrible because you will find yourself maybe going to the Olympics, not having a good results, and after that, you don't know what to do because your mind has been so focused on that thing, and so that's my suggestion. I say I cannot be an example of how winning races because my life has always been totally not regulating, but plenty of new things. So
Evolution, right? You've been
evolution, but maybe I could have stopped
from the laser to the fan.
Yes, but I had to evolve by necessity to survive. No, probably if I could have concentrated a little bit more on the final object, I could have had a better result for sure. But that's life. I mean, I lost on one side. Maybe I took on the other side a little bit.
I think your story, it's one of the most colorful stories that we've had in the channel. I saw you online. I saw somebody copy, put a picture of you, and I saw it. And I started looking at your profile, and I thought I have to interview this guy. he's very cool. And then we talked on the phone a couple of times, and I couldn't be happier. So final question, Paolo. Who should we interview next?
Who should we interview next? It depends. I would really like to listen. For example, my example athlete, my ideal athlete, because I met him. I trained together. He was living at my home, and then I went working, and it went up and up in his career, and his poor sailing career is Russell Coutts. I don't think there is any other sailor, living sailor, and even not living, he could manage to do the career he did. And Russell Coutts is an engineer, so he managed to graduate.
Right.
He won the Olympics one time, and that's it. So he didn't go on 25 medals,
Right.
After that, he went professional America's Cup, but then he won 5 times the America's Cup. So it's a way, and every time with a different boat, different team. So it's the typical explanation of what I was trying to sell before.
Right.
Don't we say in Italian that when the water is in a close lake, it's smelling bad. So don't stay in your close water.
Right.
So I think So probably speaking of big names, Ben Isley is a big name, a lot of medals. Robert Scheid, a lot of medals. But I would interview Russell Coutts because from
hopefully you can arrange an introduction, and then
he's on Facebook, so it's very easy to contact him. But this is really my referment as a sailor, as a global, as a person. Let's say.
All right. I'll reach out to him and I'll tell him that you sent me. All right, let's say goodbye to our audience. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you. And thank you so much, Paolo.
Ciao. Keep on sailing fast.
Absolutely. Still fast.
Fast. Ciao.